In 1996, Scholastic began publishing Animorphs. Over the next 6 years, Katherine Applegate and her husband, Michael Grant, under the pseudonym K.A. Applegate, produced 54 main series books, several spin-offs, and inspired a TV series, graphic novels, and a cult following. We can't tell you where we live. We can't even tell you our last names. But we can tell you our thoughts and feelings on this series, book by book. I'm Miranda.
I'm Eddie.
And I'm Chris.
And we are the Anidorks. These may be kids' books, but we discuss dark themes and mature content. There may also be some explicit language. Listener discretion is advised. I feel like this could be a movie. I still think they should make it.
Yeah.
It's fairly enclosed. You could just chop the Tobias bits off, and you could say, you could have this be a flashback of, I don't know, some Andalite instead of, or just a flashback of a Hork-Bajir, but, the Andalites have to clue you in on, what's going on with the year, 'cause it's today we fight the Hork-Bajir controllers, but it wasn't always this way, you know what I mean? So you could have, a Hork-Bajir controller get captured, and then, I don't know, something. But it would be weird without the context of what the Animorphs is, I guess. It would be hard to do it in a vacuum. But
I feel like if Scholastic wasn't sitting on their rights, though, I feel like it would be such good material, the series in general, for a streaming service, and then having the Chronicles just be I don't know, once in a while they just release a standalone companion movie.
A limited series or a movie. I don't know. I felt the imagery was very clear and evocative in this book. I felt like I saw things.
You guys are talking about the book with
We're talking around it. We're talking. I was saying how Chris.
There's no way to talk around.
I said I thought it seemed like it would make a good movie, but I didn't know. It's almost completely separated from Animorphs in general in a way that you could
I'm just gonna call you both out. Because we're effectively in the episode now.
Wait.
You don't know that?
I left to get a beer, and I was up for maybe 4 minutes. I was talking to my housemate. I get back, and these fucking guys started the episode without me. That's 100% what happened.
I was just saying... What?
All right, let's go. Let's take it away. Let's go.
I didn't know about this.
Get ready for the YouTube. Here we go.
I had to distract Chris. I just made it really quickly on the fly to distract Chris from being angry.
You did such a good job. Keeping me from being angry. Thank you.
Insert young Edwin's Hork-Bajir, hot or not, book report. Here. Or don't. Or go watch it on the YouTube. Or do something. I don't know. Bye.
All right. Shall we get started? We have a new book here, you guys.
We're here.
Have finally arrived at the Hork-Bajir Chronicles.
I was so excited, and I'm still excited.
And we have been more excited, but I got more excited as I was reading.
Have not allowed ourselves to talk about it for the most part since.
Except for what you guys were talking about before I got here.
I was just saying, I think that you could make a movie out of this. I think there's a way you could divorce it from Animorphs even and make a movie out of this. I think it's cinematic as hell.
It is very cinematic. It's almost like it's Avatar or Pocahontas or Dances with Wolves
or Tarzan.
Any of those. Or Tarzan, yeah.
It's almost like... I don't think it was like any of those. I haven't seen any of those, but I'm pretty sure this is a totally unique narrative.
First one to ever do it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. In fact, this one came out first and those movies all got...
And I can prove it. Wow. Do you know what's not in any of those movies? No, I haven't gone back and checked. Blue fog. Mysterious blue fog.
Chekhov's Blue Mist.
Yeah,
blue mist.
maybe.
Sorry. Yeah. Yes. Pocahontas might have some blue mist, actually.
There's definitely fog, but I don't know that it's blue.
Oh, yeah, there's some fog in there.
If you encountered blue mist, would you be tempted to see what was behind the mist, or would you think, you know what, I should probably leave leave this in.
I think I would assume it was poisonous.
Am I early at the party, or did I am I on time, or is it like if people are still arriving and there's blue mist, I'm gonna look. I'm just gonna look because I'm bored. Yeah.
What do you think this is? Sleep no more? You can't just go and inspect.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Blue mist. Leave it alone.
Trust?
No.
I think maybe. No. I personally have said this a few times. I think maybe this is the best written book yet we've encountered.
You have said that a lot of times.
It does have some pretty stellar writing, though.
Yeah,
I actually
it's really good. Yeah, it's extremely good. Yeah, can't really get over how much this didn't feel like reading the other book.
It felt like they had more time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like maybe this wasn't a month turnaround.
Like this was something they'd been writing since they released since the conception of Andalite Chronicles. It's like they told them to write these at the same time, and I almost feel like that they broke into 3 books so that they could try to break it into shorter bits to crank it out. But this feels like it really got sat with and worked over.
Yeah,
definitely.
And you know what? A lot better than Andalite Chronicles. Now, did we?
I don't disagree.
Take a year basically to talk about the Andalite Chronicles. Yes, and may have that.
Are you trying to get slaughtered by fans of ours? Like, are you just? I
don't know. I don't know what the fan opinion is on Andalite Chronicles.
I mean, it's obviously better than Andalite Chronicles, but it's like, what if we go in there and we're just like,
oh, you're right. You're right. You know what?
That's a little negative.
And this is coming from someone who loves Andalite Chronicles, but I thought this was even better. I liked Andalite Chronicles. It had a living hive. It had suck tunnels. The living hive.
It had suck tunnels.
Yes, yeah.
My God.
It had Prince Elfangor driving a car and drinking Dr. Pepper
a Mustang in the car
through a hoof.
Yeah, and then they end up in the Time Matrix.
Yeah,
I forgot about the Time Matrix. Yeah,
there was a McDonald's.
There was a McDonald's with a
free
kid at the register who was just walking.
Eddie, you got a Happy Meal. What are you so upset about? There was no Happy Meal.
But there was no toy.
There was
no toy. We're going back. We're demanding our rightful toy.
Yeah. Well, should we just jump in?
I guess we should jump into it.
Yeah, we're doing something a little different this time because the book is structured around spoilers. It's very reveal-y, so we feel like we're just gonna go through and experience it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we want to spend more time talking about the book this time.
It's true.
Yeah.
But we did. So you think 3 summaries reduce the book too much? You think?
I just want to say
how long we take coming up with them.
Oh, okay, got you.
And we include all the dead air. So
that's right. You get 100% of the dead air. That's how fast we are. We're on the spot.
You get 100% of the dead air you don't take. All right, here we go. Chapter prologue. Hi there. Why does it say hi there, Eddie? We already started the podcast. Hi there. My name's Chris, the true Anidork. Eddie, I'm not reading this. This is crazy. This is unhinged. All right, I'll read this. We're reading Hork-Bajir Chronicles, which means, of course, we have to fly with Tobias back to that hidden valley of the free Hork-Bajir. Tobias is feeling a little bit down, and the Animorphs have a day off, so he hopes that visiting the Hork-Bajir friends of his will lift his little spirits, like the wind beneath his wings. And you know what? It's not just Jerahami and Ket Halpak living there anymore. Tobias reveals that there are now a dozen or more Hork-Bajir living in the hidden valley. A growing colony of free Hork-Bajir. Free range. He even soars over a cute little Hork-Bajir swinging and leaping through the trees, the child of Jera and Ket. Hork-Bajir, they just grow up so fast. No, like the Hork-Bajir age really, really quickly. Tobias joins the fireside with Jerahami, Ket Halpak, and the other free Hork-Bajir children. Every night, they tell a story by the fire. Jerahami wonders what story he should tell tonight. All in the Family.
Boy, the way Glenn Miller plays.
Songs that made the hit parade. Boy, our old Jahar ran great.
Timer, Chris, so.
All right. Hey, you gave us extra for this one, so I get to make my jokes. The point is, Jeremy wonders what story he should tell tonight, given that they have a guest. Jera studies Tobias, maybe a story of Andalites and Yeerks, a story of war. Wer're explains to Tobias that his grandfather was a seer, an unusual Hork-Bajir who managed to learn the story of the Andalites. He passed that story down to Werr's father and then told it to Werre. Werre could tell that story. Tobias says that he'd like to hear the story of the Hork-Bajir's war with the Yeerks. Werre closes his eyes, begins to rock back and forth by the fire. Tobias and the others wait several minutes before Werre finally speaks again. Then Werre begins to tell the tale of the Hork-Bajir and the Yeerks. He tells the story in a Creole of Hork-Bajir and English and other languages. A story of an Andalite named Aldrea, a Yeerk named Esplin, and a Hork-Bajir seer named Dak Hami. Tobias tunes it all out. And that's
doesn't hear a thing.
He listens.
They don't popcorn read it. They don't.
No. They definitely don't.
No.
It does seem, he says that it's like, almost like he's being transported when he hears the story. It's like very vivid. I almost feel like there's something sort of mystical about it because like Jarahmi rocks by the fire and they give him like a really cool description.
Or meditative.
He said that he calls him a weird gargoyle, bright orange and deep shadow in the firelight as he's rocking back and forth. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Of the real early stuff, when Tobias is like, how did the Ellimist hide them in this valley? I don't fucking know. I'm just like, the more important question is why and how's he hiding it from the Ellimists? But also, he continues to be sassy about the Ellimist. And I just want to say, it's a refreshing change to see an instrument of like a Deus Ex Machina so firmly like scorned by the people who were receiving their help. I was like, I don't know, fuck that guy.
We don't ask him for favors no more. If you see him around here, shoot him.
He seems to be doing a good job of hiding the Hidden Valley, though.
He does. It's like Tobias says he can only find it because he knows where it is. It's like his eyes don't want to see it, which reminds me of a thing in Doctor Who and Torchwood where it's like a perception filter where it's like if they focus on it, they can see it. If they know where to look, they can see it, but otherwise their eyes will just like gloss over it.
By the way, we just wrapped up Megamorphs 2.
Yeah.
We did not make nearly any, possibly any, Land Before Time jokes.
Jesus, you're right.
Like, we went through the whole thing, and we didn't talk about any. Nobody said tree star.
That's so
I don't even think we
unlike
said
me.
the word long neck. I don't think we said any of that stuff.
You know, this Struthiomimus won't settle for the dregs. I'll beg, I'll even kiss you for my dear beloved dose.
I think I think I can speak for the fans here where I think the thing that they would want us to do is to actually pause Hork-Bajir Chronicles. I think we should go back to Megamorphs too. Do it all over.
Eddie, I
think we should just watch Land Before Times.
You need to watch yourself because I got a phone call from one of our fans who literally just was jaw on the floor being like, I guess they decided to cut all the Land Before Time stuff. I guess they got to cease and desist.
That's so crazy because I'm like, I've famously given a PowerPoint about Land Before Times 2 and 5, a.k.a. the ones with Chomper, a.k.a. the best ones.
What was my tone? Now, maybe you're sensing
your
that I
tone
don't
feels
know
very pointed right now.
Oh, okay. I was feeling inspired by all the pointy Hork-Bajir that we're hanging out with here.
That's a good point. Yeah. Speaking of the Hork-Bajir, where did those dozen or more Hork-Bajir that are now in the valley come from?
And Eve situation.
We established that they age very quickly, but I think some of these are adults. I do think that, but like, how did they escape without the Animorphs' help? Oh, you think Jarahmi and Kethalpak have been going in and liberating them?
Yeah. And they have the help of the Chi. You know, the Chi must be so busy.
That's
we haven't seen them in a while. So
they can at least be lookouts. That involves no violence and like stuff like that. That could be true.
I will say it's very questionable. It's very questionable because there's nothing in the text. Yeah. I'm down to do this. I would rather live in your world. I'm just saying. Like,
I thought that was the implication.
Throw me a bone and say.
We did just answer the question. No, I don't know when the listeners are hearing this, but we did just answer the question. Are the Hork-Bajir hot? So maybe it is true that they've just been procreating this whole time.
That's the thing. I was thinking about, we've got like a quantum virus, which reminds me of like the genophage with the Krogans, which actually just crippled their ability to breed. But like, if they can breed like the Krogans, like there had to be so many of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, they got to keep busy. I mean, I don't know how big this hidden valley is, but
That's true. And all they have to do is cut down bark off these tiny trees.
Yeah.
Are like Krogans like aliens? Like, are they like aliens or like conspiracy theorists?
No.
Are they like?
I would mostly call them aliens. I don't.
Like if they hosted a podcast, would it be the Joe Rogan experience?
Oh, that's pretty funny. No, so that's the thing. People call them a conspiracy theorist race, but they're just asking questions.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? I think
that's really funny.
I think Joe Rogan. I think if he was in the Mass Effect, if Joe Rogan was in the Mass Effect universe, I think he would be a Krogan.
You think so? I think he'd be dating that weird reporter who follows you around.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The other things that we kind of set up here, we get Tobias doesn't think much of the intelligence of the Hork-Bajir. He kind of shits on him a little bit. That's just important because, like, other species of aliens do that throughout the book, I guess. So it's kind of
He's kind of condescending, yeah.
He literally calls them fucking idiots. Yeah. Are you kidding me? You want to call it kind of condescending?
When I read that, I heard a little bit of condescension. Just a little bit. I was going to say, we get this established that the Hork-Bajir have this oral storytelling tradition. They've been passing down these stories of their people and also the Andalites. How'd they get that story?
I don't know. Father Deep and Mother Sky.
Yeah,
so
Father
that's a reversal
Deep and
of the
Jabba
Greek
Jabba.
and Roman mythology.
Will Father Deep and Mother Sky be competing on our next season of Animorphs Survivor?
Only if it's a blood versus wild.
I think, with the Living Hive. One of them would play with the Living Hive, right?
No.
They play with each other.
Mother Sky and Father
I know,
Deep
but I feel like the Living Hive knows them, you know? So
yeah.
I think the Living Hive plays with itself.
Yeah, that's true. And its suck tunnels.
All right, I didn't freaking take it there.
All right, you did say that, but
yeah. Jabba Jabba.
Anyway,
who is the Jabba Jabba?
We don't know anything about Jabba Jabba.
We don't know yet. But the Jabba Jabba is the other story they could have told that night.
Yeah.
And we'll never know the story of the Jabba Jabba. It was probably like, hey, we saw a thing. We decided to call it a Jabba Jabba. Kind of like the Unnameable, that H.P. Lovecraft story.
All right.
We also find out that they refer to their generations by just saying the word father or mother multiple times.
Yeah, there are languages that do this. And there are also ones that do it for increase in. It's like I don't know if Hawaiian does this, but and I don't know the name of the native Hawaiian language, but like I know repeating something is an intensifier, I think, in that language. So like,
I mean, that's true in English. I'm very, very upset you forgot that.
Well, you can do that with very, but you don't say I'm upset. Very is the intensifier there, so it's intensifying itself again.
I hear you, but also it's not far off.
But I do sometimes say no, like I'm mad.
I'm mad. Or we like people.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But we know that this story that we're going to learn is about Dak Hami, who is the father. No,
it's just the father.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just father.
Of Jara Hami.
Yeah, which lends credence to, if it's just father, they either have insanely big breeding windows or they are rescuing them and it takes slightly, but it is a little weird. It's like they do
He does,
really grow up
I
fast.
don't want to spoil anything, but I do think he says at the end that his father had a non-Hork-Bajir name.
Right.
And
yeah.
So I do think it is just father.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, let's do it. Chapter 1.
Chapter
Take it away,
1.
My burb.
We are introduced to our first narrator, an Andalite woman named Aldrea Iskillian Falan. Aldrea tells us that one day her name will become a cruel joke among her people, and then a curse. But when this story starts, she is just Aldrea, the young daughter of Prince Seerow. Maybe you've heard of him? Aldrea begins her story living with her family on the Yeerk home planet. Her father, Seerow, is a commander for the Andalite Empire. He leads the Andalite Yeerk Peace and Cooperation Center on the Yeerk planet. Guess how well that's going? Himbo extraordinaire Alaran Senator Karas, oh, you've heard of him too? Barges into Seerow's home to tell him that the Yeerks have attacked the Andalites. Impossible, Seerow says. He trusts the Yeerks. The Yeerks have given their word. Seerow and Alaran have clearly been having some version of this argument for years, with Seerow preaching peace and Alaran warning that the Yeerks would inevitably stab the Andalites in the back. Looks like things have finally escalated. Popcorn Eddie.
Alaran shows Seerow a visual log of the attack. A group of Ged controllers approach 4 Andalites on guard duty. One of the Ged has an Andalite shredder hidden behind their back, while the others carry knives and clubs. The Andalites instruct the Ged not to come any closer, but the Ged continue to approach. One Andalite says that the guards should stand down. Their orders are to avoid incidents. But then another Andalite says, orders or not, these filthy slugs are not touching my ship. The Ged with the Andalite shredder fires. 2 of the Andalites are incinerated. The other 2 are beaten to death. Prince Seerow is horrified by the footage. Alarin is furious. Alarin says that the Yeerks are parasites who steal the bodies of other species. That's who they've always been. Seerow says that the Yeerks have no history of harming intelligent life forms. Even the Ged, Seerow says, they're not truly sentient creatures. Really, what the Ged and the Yeerks have together is a symbiotic relationship. Alarin sneers at this. Listen to me, my prince. Approximately 400 Geds attacked our ground base last night. They overwhelmed the 24 Andalites warriors on duty there. The 2 Andalite warriors who had been
duty.
the 24 Andalite warriors who had been specifically ordered not to fire on Geds. Alarin explains that 400 of Prince Seerow's supposedly harmless Yeerks, all occupying Ged, butchered his men and then seized 4 attack fighters and 2 transport ships. They've already escaped into Z-space. At this moment, 2 other young Andalite warriors interrupt the argument. They say that the situation is actually worse than even Alarin knows. Those 4 attack fighters immediately went into Z-space, yes, but the 2 transport ships actually made another stop before they escaped. They landed elsewhere on the Yeerk planet and retrieved 250,000 Yeerks before disappearing into Z-space. Popcorn Chris!
Prince Seerow gasps. There's no way the Council of 13 knows about this, he says. The members of the Council are his friends. My 13 besties. Surely this is just the work of some rebels. Alarin calls Seerow a fool. Seerow reacts as if he's been slapped. Oh! Alarin is just a lowly warrior, whereas Seerow is a prince. This is no way to speak to a prince.
You coddled them. You trained them. You showed them the universe. You showed them all the things they could not have living here on this planet of theirs. You even built them portable Kandronas and freed them, Miranda said, as Alarin.
Chris's Seerow replied, the Yeerks are intelligent, sentient creatures. They have a right to join other sentient creatures. They have a right.
250,000 highly intelligent, ruthless, and determined parasites have just been loosed upon the galaxy, Alarin said flatly. They have 6 Andalite ships. How long before they learn to build their own ships? How long before they become a plague? How long till they find some race more useful than the Geds? Some race they can infest and transform into shock troops? There are thousands of inhabited planets in just this arm of the galaxy. Prince Seerow, you are relieved of duty.
You can't relieve me.
When a commander has become incapacitated due to injury or mental defect, his subordinates may relieve him.
What mental defect?
Stupidity. The stupidity of kindness. Charity to potential enemies. You're a fool, Seerow. A soft, sentimental, well-meaning fool. And now my men are dead, and the Yeerks are loose in the galaxy. How many will die before we can bring this contagion under control? How many will die for Seerow's kindness?
Little Aldrea can already tell that her father's epitaph has just been written. No one blinks when she flees the room out into the Yeerk twilight. Aldrea never liked this planet. She never liked the Yeerks. My father's love of peace, Aldrea says, had released the evil of war on an unprepared galaxy.
This book is so fucking cool.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
And
pretty
we get to peek into this moment that's felt like a little historical, not a footnote, but something we just would read in like a textbook.
Yeah, we've been hearing little snippets. It's like, the Hork-Bajir War that happened in 1966 or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah. I can't believe Alarin didn't mention his wife once.
No.
Like that the Jahar just didn't come up.
No.
Like he ends up naming a ship after the woman. And maybe
he hadn't finished building the ship and it was a surprise. So he was trying to, he didn't want to say her name too much.
Do you think there's a ring on his finger right now?
Do you think there's a what? A ring on it? Do you think he's not married? Oh, I don't know. Maybe they're just engaged.
Okay. Maybe he hasn't met her yet.
Yeah.
Because 2 years will go by in a moment.
But does he have any time to date after this war kicks off? He's
I wouldn't.
He's so excited.
Maybe he flew back and married his girlfriend
I don't know.
When he heard the war was starting.
Yeah, it's just giving like King Richard. You know, it's like he's always away at war. It's like, does he actually love his wife? Like, are they actually?
So what I was
thinking, he loved King Philip, but you know that's.
Oh, do you think Seerow and Alren are exes?
King Richard had no wife?
King Richard had a wife. They had no children. She died. He never remarried. He was very close with the King of France.
That's what I'm saying. So you think like that's what I'm saying. Like I'm saying, Alren's probably.
Oh, so you think he's naming it the Jahar to prove a point?
Oh, it's a beard.
I think he's,
like, I'm inside my wife all the time.
Do you think what's going on here between Seerow and Alren is like they dated for a while, but they're still stuck on the planet together, and this is just like this whole Yerk thing's just like an outlet for all of those unresolved emotions? That could
maybe.
be.
You know, they were working on this planet together for a while, presumably.
Yeah. So I read this and I was imagining Jahar just, she's waiting outside. I think I was getting the vibe that she was just outside.
I guess if Seerow's family is there.
Yeah.
Then maybe Jahar's just off screen.
This whole concept of truly sentient, hate it.
Hate it. And it will be a thread with him and with the Andalites of their, we'll talk about it more later, but like of their
Cassie would have shut that down immediately.
Yeah, their
she
belief
been yo, we're done here.
Intelligence, quote unquote, being what makes you worthy, like what they consider intelligence being what makes you worthy. And in some cases, trustworthy, because they're like, well, we're really smart and we're the good guys. So, other smart people are probably the good guys. At least that's how Seerow seems
the vibe.
to think.
Yeah.
When do we get to hear the Ged perspective?
Right?
Yeah.
Apparently one leg of theirs is shorter than the other. We learned that this book. I think that's a sad...
Pretty adorable.
Why would they...
Kind of reminds me of our crab buddies from Megamorphs, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, they were my buddies and they were Miranda's buddies. I don't know if they were your buddies.
All things
Chris.
lumpy and good. You just never sent me the invite. You were like, I don't want to share.
The other really important thing that gets dropped here that doesn't come up a bunch, but to me is really important, is that the Andalites and perhaps Seerow led the building of the portable Kandrona technology that allows
disgusting.
the Yerks to leave their planet. I'm like, that was maybe the bridge too far, right? You can give them everything, but if you give them portable Kandrona, but if they're like, our colonies on the other side of the planet are starving because our rotation is too slow. You know what I mean?
It really is he really didn't think that one through. Yeah, that's bad.
I don't like seeing Alren land any of his points. I don't like that he believes he was proven right by this incident. Yeah. I think that, Seerow, I think neither of them, I'm not a big fan of either of them when I read this exchange, but I feel for Seerow that he has to deal with Alren on this planet.
I feel for Seerow that he was an idiot. Not an idiot, but I feel for Seerow that he was naive. He really wanted to believe in the good in people, and that burned him. But I think Alren's a correction too far, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that's sort of what the book tries to portray them as is
don't be a sucker, but yeah, exactly. Yeah. It is just you made them little portable Kandronas. You actually did that. You madman. Literally, the thing that makes them manageable is that they need Kandrona. And then we're like, well, we'll just solve that problem for you. Yeah, I don't know. It just...
Well, don't you think the little Kandrona, he probably loves miniatures. And so he saw an opportunity there. He's got...
Yeah.
You're imagining a little backpack, a little camel pack.
Yeah. Oh, I love the straw.
That. Yeah.
I think referring to the Yerks and the Geds as in a symbiotic relationship is a bit of a leap.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. It just does not sound like that's what's going on.
No, it's the same as him saying he's the Geds wouldn't have been able to take care of themselves. It's a very colonizer mindset. It's the Geds wouldn't have been able to take care of themselves if the Yerks hadn't come along and been smarter and used their bodies correctly.
Speaking of colonizer mindset, when Aldrea runs out of the building after all the depressing stuff happens. She's running around and she refers to the name of the building and the compound that they're on, which the Andalites have named the Andalite Yerk Peace and Cooperation Center.
Yep.
So if you want to come in for some peace and cooperation, just drop by.
Just drop right in.
We have some cake.
There's
cake
definitely cake on the cake.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, but it is the most colonizer coded.
Yes. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I do love we get when she runs outside. Where is it here?
In the acid rain.
Yeah, there was
she could
really
run for
cool...
a while until the night comes and she can have acid rain on her and it'll kill her.
Yeah, I ran outside unnoticed by the adults. I ran outside into the Yeerk twilight. The wild green and yellow streaked sky was turning dark. The harsh air rasped in my throat. Soon the nightly rain, the acid rain, would fall and I would have to retreat back into the shelter. I get why, we saw, remember when we had those 3 different environments in Andalite Chronicles? And
they kept it consistent.
It's nice to see it again.
But it's also, I see why you'd be homesick for this planet. That sounds,
Yeah,
you want to go hang out there?
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, we're the flesh-jointed... we're the
flesh wheels, you know?
We're the flesh wheels, the flesh bearings.
We do hear that the Yeerks, she says the Yeerk pool is called the Sulpniar, but I believe we get told that someone is of the Sulpniar pool, so I think that's the specific Yeerk pool that's here, and that may just be the Yeerk pool that they, took with them. And so now everybody who has spawned from that is of the Sulpniar pool, but that's just a guess.
I do have a question. The fact that the Yeerks took off and they were like, let's stop over and pick up some of our friends from the other side of the planet. Do we think that's the same part of the Yeerk personality that loves public transportation? Like they want to bring...
Oh,
They want to move as many bodies on a vehicle as possible.
As efficiently as possible, yeah.
I think you're right.
It's a good vibe.
Good catch.
Those are the good guys. Right.
There's a lot of little nitpicks in this one that really get me, though. Like, the other one that caught me was, they ran away to Z-Space, and it's I was thinking of Z-Space as one place. A place of no place. A tiny room that everybody is in. But apparently I was wrong.
Yeah, it's a little confusing, the way Z-Space is portrayed in this book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Should we move on?
Shall we?
Yeah, I think I'm ready. Yeah, let's
Chapter 2. It's me. 2 years later, Aldrea and her family are about to land on a planet seemingly on the fringes of the war between Andalites and Yeerks. Aldrea is ashamed of her father. After what happened on the Yeerk planet, Prince Seerow has been reassigned to what Aldrea calls a small, out-of-the-way, humiliating job. Aldrea wants to be a warrior, someone who fights the Yeerks. She'd like to be on the front lines of war. And instead, because of her father's actions, she believes that she is as far from the war as imaginable. And because she's a girl. Barafin, Aldrea's younger brother, lets her know that they'll be landing soon. Aldrea tells us that he has taken their father's fall from grace even harder than she has. Barafin has been bullied by his peers, and he blames that bullying on his father, so much so that Barafin and Seerow no longer even speak. Aldrea joins her family at one of the ship's windows. At first glance, this planet appears to be barren, its surface composed of gray, sterile rock. Around the equator, however, are enormous and deep valleys bursting with vegetation and life. The valleys are 50 miles deep, populated by towering trees. Aldrea's unnamed mother comments that these are the tallest recorded trees on any planet. At the base of those trees, a poisonous blue mist collects. The vegetation near the mist is most alien. Below the mist, who could say? Even Andalite sensors cannot sense what lies there. How mysterious. And yet... not as mysterious as Aldrea's mother being born without a name. Aldrea tells her father that she remembers there's sentient life on this planet. Seerow says that yes, that's correct, though there's nothing especially impressive about the species. They do not build cities or roads, there's no record of any notable culture or written language. What is perhaps most noteworthy is their appearance. They seem to be quite fearsome, but they are in fact gentle herbivores. The Hork-Bajir, the people are called. In fact, the Hork-Bajir are the reason Seerow has been assigned here. His job is to protect the Hork-Bajir from the Yeerks.
Cool planet.
They call Barafin Seerow's unkindness, and I think that's really, really stupid and makes me think that this kid has to be 9. That's the stupidest thing I can imagine.
Wait, what's the context?
That's how they bully him. It's I am the daughter. Oh, no, that's what they call her. That's what they call her. I am the daughter of Prince Seerow. My friends tease me sometimes. They call me Seerow's unkindness. Her friends call her that. And then she goes on to reveal that she is a pick-me Andalite.
Yeah.
Because she says, you see, I'm not like most females.
Yeah.
I'm not content to stay within the sciences and the arts, the traditional female occupations, women in STEM. I don't want to be a zero-space theorist or a grasscape designer or a cloud artist. And I want to be a fucking cloud artist.
I know.
Yeah.
When did they get
That's
a
all
bad
I wanna be.
reputation? I don't understand. They're cloud artists.
I mean, maybe they're slutty. I don't know. But, like, even if they are, good for them. And I want to be one even more now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slutty cloud artist.
Yes.
Everybody knows.
Probably would go really far with building a reputation with, or building a relationship with the Hork-Bajir on this new planet, too. So,
Yeah, that's true.
do you think you could do cloud art with the blue mist? Is that...
Ooh, that'd be
The blue
cool.
mist is deep in the ground.
Yeah.
That's true. It's very heavy.
Clouds
It's
high
very
in the
thick
sky.
and heavy. Yeah, and clouds are much lighter.
Just a challenge. It's a challenge. So,
It's a challenge.
How good of a cloud artist are you?
Blue mist.
I do
It's
also
really-
want to say this not like other girls Andalite is going to a planet that had its geography violently rearranged.
By an asteroid that hit the North Pole.
And
like,
now
getting
has
bonked on
these
the head.
deep chasms full of life. Like, I don't know, that just, there's nothing gendered going on here. I don't
No, certainly not. Yeah.
She also brings
So-
up a wish flower. That's the one other thing that I
and a
really do want to
Pachydoll.
note. Other than there's a big thing, but I want to hit this before I forget about it. She has the wish flower from when they were hoping to have her brother. And it was mentioned that Alfangor was praying at a wish flower when they were hoping to have Axe. And so I
Yes.
liked seeing that.
Yeah. But a Pachydoll is new. She also
Pachydoll
brought her
is
toy
new.
doll.
Yes. That's
Not
new.
to mention the Uka melons.
The Uka melons.
That comes up too. And we learned...
But
Go ahead, Bri.
I think you're going to say it. The biggest reveal
What is a Nuka
About
melon?
of the
morphing?
chapter. Yeah,
What's
the
it?
biggest
It's a
reveal of the
recent
chapter is about
invention.
morphing. Recent.
Yeah.
In 1968, or the Hork-Bajir date of late cool, or the Andalite date of 8563.5, we are told that the morphing is a new invention. It's very new. It's very cool. She has the idea to use it as fighting, which we don't see anybody else do.
Nope.
So, like, maybe she's right. Maybe she should be in the military. Maybe she is, qualified for the job. I don't know. She's so cool.
other
And
thing
they say
is-
females are better at morphing, and I wonder if that applies to humans as well, because Cassie's the best morpher.
Yeah. The other thing is they give us dates for the scene before. The last chapter had 4 dates, each in a
did.
different, like, alien race notation. So there was, like, Andalite date, Yerk date, Hork-Bajir date, Earth date. And this should let us, like, figure out what Axe is really on about in terms of the differences of time. But because the Earth date is so non-specific, it's, like, hard to imagine it being exactly 2 years.
It's true.
But
And-
it's roughly 2... Oh, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, but they seem to be fairly close together because it's been 2.3 Andalite years, and we're just given the vague 1966 to 1968 for...
Right, they're close,
year.
but the thing is, like, it could have been like January to January to January, I guess.
Yeah,
right. It could have
we
been
don't
like,
know.
or December to January with a year in the middle.
Right,
and
we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. But it's but it could be a 2.3 to 1. I'm sorry. 2.3 to 2 ratio, or like a 1.15 to 1 ratio, or it could swing a bit. But
Or
it
it
is
could
kind of
be
cool.
it could be exact, and we could be having they're representing it in tenths instead of twelfths, but they actually match up exactly because they would have to go to
Interesting.
base 12 to represent months in decimal. But honestly, we don't know that that's a decimal in that it's a tenth of the year. That could be months.
The only clue that we have, well, I'm going to guess that it's tenths just because it would be wild to think of,
I agree.
because, it would be wild to switch systems, like, once you go to the right of the period, but who knows?
Well, I'm saying it
Yeah.
could be like a dash to them. We don't know. It could be, 8563
knows.
dash, whatever.
Yo, they need to start saying their dashes out loud.
They do.
Like, they need to start saying dashes. When there's a dash, they need to say it.
I don't know
you'll
if
see
it's
in the
going to
next
happen in
chapter.
this book.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't know.
It doesn't happen. No, yeah.
We do get, I don't know if you two remember, but we saw a very sexy, not a cover for Hork-Bajir Chronicles, but we saw, what is it? Chris, you have the book. Is it like the inside illustration?
It's charged. I don't know that
Something
I would
like
call it
that.
sexy, but
Oh,
it is
okay,
like
it's
a romance
charged.
novel
It's
cover.
charged.
It's
It's a little bit
charged. It feels like some. I won't say you're wrong, but I'm saying I don't know that I'd use that one.
I'm not going to yuck your yum, but,
I read the emails between David Mattingly and Kay Applegate, and I saw what she requested, which was a sexy cover featuring an Andalite and a Hork-Bajir.
Got it.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild that you read those.
But we have giant trees.
To me by David.
That picture had really strange trees.
Thank you. That was the point.
That I was confused about the size of.
Yeah.
And it is confirmed that the trees are, in fact, just really, really big.
Yeah. Do we get to that next chapter? I think that's...
She mentions it here, that they're the tallest on any planet.
Oh, yeah. They range from 200 to 2,000 feet. Yeah, huge swing in tree height. That's like 200 feet. Like a two-story house is like, probably like 20 to 30 feet. So like a skyscraper is 200 feet. Or like, a high-rise or whatever. And then 2,000 feet, I don't know, we've never built a building.
A typical two-story house is about 20 to 25 feet tall.
I was exactly right.
Nailed it.
That's
I think we learned later that one of the trees is
taller than the others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is what she says with 2,000, because
roughly, but we get a more exact
feet.
But we get a more exact measurement of one of the trees later. We do.
Yeah. In spans. In HB height?
In school buses. Sorry, in school buses.
I think we do get a description of one of the trees in Hork-Bajir height.
Chapter 3?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we meet our second narrator here. We meet our second narrator, Dak Hamid, a young Hork-Bajir boy who has known that he was different for as long as he can remember. His mother knows it too. She tells her son that he is strange and takes him to see the elders in the tribe tree. The elders tell Dak's mother that her son isn't just strange. He is a queer. The old one, Tila Fashat, explains to Dak and his mother what they mean by queer. A queer is one who is born to show a new way. Many, many seasons pass. Then our father, the deep, and our mother, the sky, say, send the queer to the people. The people have need, and so one is born who is different. Dak wonders how one day he will show his people a new way when he does not know what the new way is. The old one told him that he will know when the deep and the sky tell him. Until then, he waits. In the tradition of many queers before him, Dak is a baby artist. He carves markings in the trees that resemble his friend, Jagil, despite that Jagil does not understand or appreciate the markings. Maybe if Jagil spent less time learning the rules of baseball and Call of Duty, he'd have more space in his thick skull for Dak's beautiful carving. Dak spends his time asking himself
this
questions.
Just got autobiographical.
How deep is the deep? How high is the sky? And wondering.
What's west of Westeros?
And wondering if any other Hork-Bajir asked themselves such questions. One day, Dak sees a strange shape coming down from the sky. Maybe this is Mother Sky communicating with him, he thinks. He goes down to the ground to investigate the strange shape and finds odd beings exiting the shape from the sky. Dak tries to communicate with the beings, but they do not understand him. When they speak to him, they do so from within his mind. They introduce themselves as Prince Seerow, Aldrea, Barafin, Unnamed Andalite woman.
Unnamed mom.
Dak understands now. This is why he is queer. This is what he is meant to understand, so that he can show his people a new way. So he's a seer. He's a seer.
He's a seer. If you
not a
said
seer,
queer,
but a seer.
A queer.
Yeah, not to be. Yeah.
He's a seer. I would die for him.
Yeah.
I love him.
I wouldn't die for him. I would hang out.
I would die for
Listen.
him.
Like,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I love that.
I would take a bullet. I would hope the bullet didn't kill me. But, if it did.
I think he should kill me.
Kill me.
When he's showing the art, to Jaggle.
Jaggle.
How are you saying
Jaggle Rock.
Jaggle, I would say.
Rock.
Down to Jaggle Rock.
Clap. That's not me. When he shows him the picture, Jaggle's like, that is not me. I am me. I am here. I am not there. I am not a scraping by a burned stick.
Yeah, this is what it was like talking to you as a kid, Chris, as you were always like, what? No, I'm just kidding.
I will say,
that would not be me.
No, I'm kidding.
That would have been like, bleep. Yeah. I know who that is. Yeah.
I do want to say that words are symbols. And so the idea that, I mean, there's not that big of a leap between the idea that your name represents you and a picture represents you. If it's a new thing, if they've never done it before, it would be new. But I don't think it would be impossible to get them to understand. The big leap is like physical thing I'm holding versus being able to hold the abstract concept in your head that thing
I don't know.
exists.
I think I get it. Try and explain to me. Okay, I'll be a Jaggle.
Okay.
I'll be down at Jaggle Rock. And you explain to me how this burned stick art you're showing me is my name.
Right. Okay. So, Jagil.
Yeah, I'm listening.
This is...
Whoa, they just got a touchdown. Sorry, I'm listening to the game on my
This is a representation of you. Okay, you don't know what that means. Okay, so when I say Jagil, that means you.
Whoa, they just got a 2-point conversion. That's crazy. I'm sorry, keep going. I'm listening.
So when I say your name, what do you think of?
I think, what does Dak want?
Okay, so when I am not there and you think of me, what do you call me in your head?
I say, it's nice that Dak's not around for a minute. And I can get some
you think Dak, you think my name, you think Dak, you do think that.
I think about you.
You picture me, but you do not think of my name, Dakami?
I don't think no, I just know your name.
So if we can call people by a name, if you were to mention me to your mother when I was not there, she would know what you were speaking about.
Why would I talk to my mother about you?
If you were to tell your mother of the
Whoa, they just got a third touchdown. All right.
So wow, it is harder than I thought. Yeah.
I think I was coming close. I was going to compare it to bark when you're telling them what trees you took the bark from. I think I was going to get there.
Oh, you're hungry? And then I hand you some bark. If you're hungry, just say so. Just say you're hungry.
Still, I think...
And that was the worst improv imaginable. I did not yes and at all. I just
anyway,
shut you down.
But you did show how it could be very frustrating.
It could be difficult.
Now I know who my least favorite character is in this book. So
I really thought you were going to say my least favorite co-host.
No. You were playing a character.
Andalites.
Surely that was nothing like talking to you.
It was
not like talking to you.
It was nothing like me.
Anyway, Aldrea's mom gets the Disney dead mom treatment.
Uh-huh.
It's the don't get too close. We'll never learn her name.
Can I say we've read this whole book?
That's true.
The old one gets a name. The elders get names. They do not come up again. Aldrea's mother, she'll stick
not
around.
by name. No.
Yeah.
They mention the elders, but they don't. Yeah, no. It is strange.
Yeah, there's Tila Fash Hat. There's Mab.
That's what I call. That's what I call a certain kind of red hat. I call it a fash hat.
Yeah, and then there's Panto Falah, and I wrote a bunch of them down. Also, Jagil's last name is Hullen,
which feels I will say, I don't know if I thought we were. There's a Flowers for Algernon thing going on here that I sort of talk about later, where he's getting smarter noticeably, or he's communicating more clearly noticeably between his early chapters. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I think using their names directly is another part of that literal thinking where he's he doesn't have other words to use to describe them. He's just saying their names.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's meant to be when you would read a book for a child, it would say the name of the person every single time to make sure that you knew who they were talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that's how it's supposed to read, but that's just my interpretation.
No, I think that's a good point. Yeah. Even he notices that Aldrea's mother doesn't have a name, though.
Yeah.
She doesn't even bring it up. Yeah.
We get some names of trees, Ren. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, that's true. I was I'm just remembering, I am Dakami, I am different, I am the seer, I am to show my people a new way. And I remember that there's on a piece of green paper, for some reason, I did a drawing and it said at the top, I am Miranda, I am 5, I love my mom, I love my dad too. That's what.
It's nice of you to get him in there.
I always felt later, I was that feels dismissive. I don't know why I would think that was an okay way to phrase it, but I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
I love my dad too.
Well, Miranda would have drawn you, Chris, but clearly you wouldn't have understood the representation of you. So,
One time I got a phone call at school on my cell phone, and it rang, and I picked up the phone, and like I was just talking to someone about how like we'd have to ask my mom if we can do that. And then my phone rang, and I didn't look at who it is. It was from home. It just said home. So I answered it, and I was like, Mom? Thinking it would be very convenient. And then Dad said, no, it's Dad. And I went, Dad.
There's something. So we know Aldrea's different, right? And we know
she sees herself as different for sure.
Is different too. And there's something about the loneliness. I think it's especially apparent with Dak in this like early narration. There's something lonely about being different, and it reminds me a lot of Axe and Tobias, but mostly Axe. I mean, Axe is lonely because he's alone on his planet, and I don't know that Axe would have said he felt different as a kid. Like we kind of get the impression that Axe was really good at, I get the impression that Axe was really good at fitting in. He was almost...
Yeah, he was a normal Andalite kid is the vibe that we're given. I mean, his brother was important, so he felt like he had big shoes to fill, but like nobody was like, that good, there goes that weirdo.
Yeah. But Axe and Tobias kind of occupy that perspective in the main series books, I think. I think those are the two that feel different. And Tobias felt different before he got trapped in his morph.
True. And this is a book almost entirely of narrators who feel different.
Yeah. Which I really like.
Happy Pride.
Yeah. I think it's a nice thing that links our three narrators, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like, there's a moment where Dak is describing the Andalites, and he does a full description, he does a rundown, and I just liked, like, he gets to the end and is like, they had no blades, except for one small blade on each of their tails. Like, he is not nearly, which makes a lot of sense, because he's, like, all blades. But, as like, I like that they borrowed the structure of, like, Jake's assessment for, like, Dak's discovery of them, and they, like, but they adapted each part kind of.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel like they could do some damage, right? Does he look at them?
No. He doesn't think that. They also talk about how Mother Sky shows her flowers.
Yes.
And that those are the stars. That was like a cute moment, and that's the first little knowledge share that Aldrea and Dak have together.
I think that's next
chapter?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Damn it.
Yeah. But I
think we're about done here.
I do think the world building is, this was probably a lot of kids. And I know we get it in the main series books, but to be in a place that's strange in every way for the, like, imagining the readers of this book, like the young readers, I feel like there's a lot of, this is like intro to world building for a lot of kids.
Yeah, it's all aliens, only alien planets, and the only reason any of them would feel familiar is if you had read the series. So you've started to feel like Andalites are kind of, they're not humans, but you've been around Axe enough to relate to the human perspective, to relate to his perspective in a way you would relate to a human's.
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, there's an Andalite here. I kind of know about Andalites. The Hork-Bajir stuff is all new because we've never heard from a Hork-Bajir before. And the Yeerk stuff, while we don't relate, we have at least seen before. So it's not like totally alien. Well, it's alien.
It feels a lot more immersive to me than Andalite Chronicles too. And I think that part of that is Dak's narration, the way that we experience him at first. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also think part of it is... And I don't want to give them, I don't know what that I want to say. I don't want to give them this much credit, but the fact that Andalite Chronicles was, in theory, a transmission from Elfangor about what had happened up until the end, of his life.
Whereas the framework with
colors
this is, sorry, go ahead, finish.
Yeah, this is framed as like a story that happened a long time ago, but that I'm not going to it feels more contained, whereas Elfangor was trying to draw a thread from then to now. This feels like a contained story that happens to draw a thread from then to now.
And I think
if that makes sense.
Every perspective, we're led to believe that, like, that's actually a really good point about Andalite Chronicles being a transmission, whereas I think all of these stories have theoretically been passed down through the oral tradition.
Yeah.
Like all...
Yeah, and I wonder how they got Esplin's thoughts, kind of. I wonder if it was that moment that... I won't talk about it.
Yes, I think it was, though. I think...
You think, though? Yeah, I think that's really cool. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, there's a cool little line there that, like, I got really hung up on that we can talk about later, but there's...
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Chapter 4?
Yeah. Dak goes home to his people to share about the arrival of the Andalites. The Old One agrees that this is what they've been waiting for. She tells him that he must watch and speak. He must show them the way. Dak returns to the Andalite camp, this time with his friend Jaggle. Jaggle is frightened, but accompanies Dak nonetheless. The two boys find Aldrea, Prince Seerow, Barafin, and somebody. I can't. Some unnamed Andalite woman. They try to have a conversation, but that Andalite woman just is in the way. But the Andalites cannot understand the Hork-Bajir language right away. The universal translator needs a larger sample. Aldrea does her best to keep Dak talking. She encourages him through a combination of thought, speak, and gesture to talk about the trees of this planet. Dak explains to Aldrea what parts of the stula tree can be harvested. That explanation is enough for the universal translator to become effective.
That's all it took.
Prince Seerow and Unnamed.
At about 2/3%. Or
Prince
like 2/3.
Yeah. Prince Seerow and Unnamed Andalite woman give the kids some space, like they had when they were younger. Aldrea explains to Dak that they are from another planet, or tribe tree, as Dak says. He doesn't really understand what Aldrea means by planet. Those things that the Hork-Bajir understand to be Mother Sky's flowers, Aldrea explains, those are in fact far-away stars, just like the Hork-Bajir's planet's sun. Dak is amazed. Aldrea continues to explain that some of the stars have planets of their own, with their own trees and creatures. Dak is in awe. He must know more. He tells us that. In that moment, old Dak died, and Dak the Seer was born.
I wanna know, can you show me? I wanna know about these strangers like me.
Strangers like me.
What song is this?
Sorry. Oh, that's from Tarzan.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, it's from Tarzan? Phil
Yeah.
Collins?
Oh, I included the
Yeah.
link. You can take a look.
Oh.
Yeah, it's in a book. It's Reading Rainbow.
I want to know so much. So something gets dropped about Andalite language a little bit that like he says he hears words that aren't his words, but he understands them. And so I was like, okay, so they speak their language, but it somehow connects to their language center. And then she later explains that like it works in universal symbols as well as actual words. So like he's showing them, I was like, okay, so it is symbol based, but now we've got this universal translator. And I'm like, okay, but they're at the camp right now. But then Aldrea goes off with him later. Did she learn their language, or is the universal translator something that's implanted? Is it like morphing technology where you touch something and it like becomes?
I bet you it's like an earpiece.
That's what I would think,
like
except that they're not wearing earpieces as far as I'm aware. Or the ears would not
talk
Google
about it.
Glass.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like
Google Glass.
could be.
Maybe
like
they've got
Google
one of those,
Glass,
one of Aloy's little earpieces, like from.
You know, I originally included Barafin and Jagil in this description, and then I realized they don't really do anything. It's more. It's
They
really
don't.
about-
No, they don't.
I don't think Barafin needs to be there. I get why he is there.
They're just boys.
I'll tell you though, I'm actually a little confused about Barafin's existence, and this is maybe rude.
What's not to get? He's just sitting on the ship
I
playing
get
into,
that.
like Fortnite all day.
But when they were having acts, Elfangor told us it was because of the war, that there had been this thing for Andalites to have more children. And I guess that doesn't mean they couldn't have more children before, but I had taken that as like that it wasn't super common to have more than one child. But I guess any species that does that would die out because you have to at least replace yourself. I guess it was just like a mandate to have more children. And I had misinterpreted that. But I'm like, why did they have a child before the war started? Like, but I guess they just wanted one is the answer.
Yeah. They're also a prince, you know? They're like higher up in society.
Well, yeah, he was. Now he's not.
that's a good
but when he
point.
had the child, you know.
Well,
And he'd only had a girl. So, you know.
So you gotta
What-
try again.
yeah.
Swing
yeah,
again.
Seerow is a prince. Was Elfangor's parents? Neither of them were princes, as far as we know, right?
No, they were like scientists, weren't they?
Yes. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
They like built parts for ships or something. They like the way they did it in Andalite society was to have people be super, super specialized. So like the people who built the parts, and the people who put it together, and like stuff like that so they could get the best out of everybody. And I think his family built parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We learned about the stool. Is it stool tree?
The stoola tree.
Stoola tree.
Push in your stoola.
Right.
The bark.
Well, and we also learn about the people who help specifically grow stoola trees, the stoola doulas, they call them.
Oh, so good, so good.
Yes.
And that you should only take bark from a certain part of it, though. It's a very cute little speech.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eddie, I see you have it if you'd like to.
Yeah. The bark below the lowest branch is too old, hard to eat. This is Dak talking. The bark above the lowest.
So Aldrea asks Dak to explain about the tree because they don't have the translator working. So she points to it and she goes, "Tree?" And he's like, "What is this bitch talking about?" But like eventually he gets that she wants to know more about it. So he says to her.
Yeah, and she asked this through a combination of thought speak and gesture, Chris.
Tree points aggressively, takes your hand, puts it on the tree. Tree.
It just sounded lewd.
Well, gesture doesn't have to be lewd. It can just be pointing.
And I'm showing her my left hand. I'm gesticulating with my left hand. And now, there's Kathy. Because she knows they always know.
So what Dak says is, I knew about this tree. The bark below the lowest branch is too old, hard to eat. The bark above the lowest branch, but before the mid-slit is good. But harvesting it is bad. This bark helps the stoola tree to grow new stoola trees. Only the bark above the mid-slit may be taken. This is the truth given to us by the old one.
I love that little bit at the end there, and we don't get a lot more about it as time goes on. But I love these early moments when he's still so steeped in how other Hork-Bajir talk, and he has so many of these little, Father Deep and Mother Sky things that he says, sun is sun, Mother Sky's flowers are flowers. And she's like, okay, so like they look like flowers, but they're small because they're far away. And then he has a fucking Jimmy Neutron brain blast. He's like, oh my God, you're right. Things far away do look small. That's true.
And Shaquille is like, far is far.
Far is far. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like
that Julio Torres sketch, The Wells for Boys, that's the difference between Dak and Shaquille, I think, is like Dak is the sensitive boy who needs a well, and Shaquille's got other things to do. Everything else is for him, so.
Yeah. He doesn't need this, you know what I mean? He doesn't need a whole month. Every day is his month, okay? Like, he gets it.
Yeah.
When he's hungry, he just climbs up the stoola tree and eats.
Yeah.
And you know what? I bet he takes some parts from before the mid-slit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But sometimes
it's tasty.
He's not paying attention.
It's really tasty.
And he picks stuff from the bottom. And he's like, ew, bitter.
Yeah.
I hate
And then he's like, oh, this shit's great. Why don't we eat this shit? And then somebody's like, no, Shaquille.
Down.
You must not.
Down.
That helps to grow more stoola trees. If we don't have more trees, we will. Do you want us to be like pandas who will out-eat their food source? Even though bamboo is the fastest growing plant on their planet? It's ridiculous. Thanks for listening to Anidorks. We'll be back soon with lots more to say. Until the Andalites return, or at least until next time. See you soon!